Picture this. You're standing in a room full of people. The television flickers with 22 individuals chasing a ball across a field. Suddenly, something happens. A goal, a touchdown, a three-pointer, and the room erupts. And you feel absolutely nothing. This isn't boredom. This isn't apathy. What you're experiencing is social alienation. You're not broken. You're not pretentious. And you're definitely not alone. For decades, people who don't obsess over sports have been labeled as contrarians or socially deficient. But here's what the cultural narrative gets wrong. Not liking sports isn't a personality flaw. It's a neurological difference. Your brain processes social bonding, tribal identity, and competitive spectacle differently than the majority. And understanding why requires us to travel back approximately 200,000 years.
Chapter 1. The Modern Tribe. To understand why millions of people paint their faces and experience genuine grief when their team loses, we need to understand evolutionary mismatch. For the vast majority of human existence, your survival depended on one critical factor: belonging to the right tribe. This created powerful neurological architecture. Deep in your limbic system, ancient circuitry evolved to make tribal belonging feel chemically essential. When you bonded with your group, your brain released oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Now, fast forward to the 21st century. We no longer live in tribes of 150 people, but that ancient hardware? It's still running, desperately searching for tribes to belong to. Enter sports. Sports are simulated tribes, perhaps the most successful simulation we've ever created. They provide everything the ancient brain craves: a clear in-group and out-group, shared rituals, collective struggle, and synchronized emotional experiences. When your team scores, oxytocin floods your system. When they win a championship, your brain experiences genuine tribal victory. Research from the University of Utah found that sports fans watching their team experience oxytocin surges comparable to direct social bonding activities. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone's brain responds this way. Some individuals have what we might call lower tribal instinct sensitivity. This doesn't mean they can't form deep social bonds. It means their oxytocin response isn't triggered by proxy tribalism. Their brains seek connection through different mechanisms: intellectual exchange, creative collaboration, intimate friendship, or shared philosophical values, rather than shared territorial identity. They're not defective tribalists. They're simply individuals whose neurological reward systems require more direct, personal, or intellectually meaningful forms of connection to activate. Chapter 2. Dopamine and uncertainty. But tribalism alone doesn't explain the obsession. To understand why someone will watch a 3-hour game, we need to examine the brain's reward circuitry, specifically how it responds to uncertainty. Dopamine is often misunderstood as the pleasure chemical. It's not. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. And here's the critical finding. Your brain releases more dopamine during uncertain outcomes than during guaranteed ones. When you know exactly what will happen, dopamine stays relatively flat. But when the outcome is uncertain, your ventral striatum floods with dopamine. This is why the final 2 minutes of a close game generate more neural activation than the previous 58. Research from Stanford demonstrates that sports spectating activates the same reward pathways as gambling, because structurally they're identical processes. Both involve uncertain outcomes, emotional investment in results beyond your control, and the potential for vicarious reward.
And just like gambling, sports create what neuroscientists call a variable reward schedule, the most addictive pattern known to behavioral psychology. But here's the crucial variable: vicarious dopaminergic activation. For sports enthusiasts, watching athletes they identify with triggers genuine dopaminergic activation. For non-fans, this vicarious circuit doesn't activate or activates minimally. Watching strangers compete generates no more dopamine than watching a coin flip. The outcome feels arbitrary because neurologically it is arbitrary. There's no personal stake to hijack the reward system.
Chapter 3. The Identity Trap. But we're still missing a piece of the puzzle. Because sports fandom isn't just about tribal belonging and dopamine, it's about identity construction. In 1976, psychologist Robert Cialdini identified a phenomenon he called BIRGing, basking in reflected glory. Cialdini noticed something peculiar. After their football team won, students were significantly more likely to wear university apparel. After losses, that apparel virtually disappeared. But the truly revealing finding came from analyzing language patterns. When teams won, fans said, "We won." When teams lost, the language shifted, "They lost." This isn't hypocrisy, it's sophisticated psychological self-protection. By associating themselves with victories and distancing themselves from defeats, fans engage in corfing, cutting off reflected failure. The mechanism is elegant. When your identity is partially constructed around your team's success, their victories literally boost your self-esteem. This is why a championship can genuinely be one of the happiest moments of someone's life, despite having zero direct involvement, and why a devastating loss can trigger genuine grief, anger, and depression. Brain imaging studies show that when fans watch their team win, regions associated with self-concept and pride activate as if they had accomplished something. Non-fans, often unconsciously, resist this psychological arrangement. Their self-concept is more tightly bounded around things they directly control: their own achievements, their own skills, their own creative output. This isn't moral superiority, it's a different psychological strategy for maintaining self-esteem. Rather than expanding the ego to include proxy achievements, they restrict it to personal agency. The result? Watching someone else's team win or lose feels emotionally irrelevant because it has no connection to their self-concept. Chapter 4. Empathy Allocation. There's a common accusation leveled at sports non-fans, that they lack passion, that they're emotionally cold. This misses the point entirely. Non-fans aren't experiencing less emotion. They're experiencing a different allocation of emotional resources. Human empathy, our capacity to emotionally invest in others' experiences, is powerful but finite. The brain must choose where to direct its limited emotional bandwidth. Sports fans allocate significant emotional energy to the struggles and triumphs of their teams. Non-fans direct that same empathic capacity elsewhere. They invest emotional energy in literature, weeping at fictional characters' tragedies. They experience transcendence through music, feeling genuine joy at an artist's virtuosic performance. They channel empathy towards social causes, feeling authentic anger at injustice and hope for systemic change. They reserve emotional depth for personal relationships, investing in the actual lived experiences of people they know. The total emotional capacity isn't different. The targets are. And this reveals something profound. What we choose to care about literally shapes our experienced reality. Chapter 5. Meaning versus spectacle. But there's an even deeper philosophical divide at play, one that touches on how we construct meaning itself. Sports are spectacular, objectively, undeniably. But here's what separates fans from non-fans at the deepest level. Sports are fundamentally random.
Yes, skill matters, strategy matters, but whether a ball bounces left or right, whether a referee makes a questionable call, these outcomes exist in a realm of chance. A championship can be decided by millimeters. A dynasty can be derailed by an injury. For fans, this randomness is part of the appeal. The uncertainty, the chaos, it's what makes sports feel alive. Non-fans find this psychologically intolerable. Their brains are oriented toward meaning, toward outcomes that reflect intentional action, skill development, or moral significance. They invest in pursuits where there's a clearer connection between effort and outcome, where success reflects genuine mastery. When they watch someone succeed, they want that success to mean something beyond chance. A championship remains tethered to randomness. It doesn't cure disease. It doesn't advance human knowledge. It doesn't create lasting art. These pursuits offer something sports cannot: accumulation. Every hour invested builds on the previous one, and for the non-fan, that distinction between constructed meaning and earned meaning is everything.
So we return to that room. But now you understand. You're not missing something. You're not defective. But here's what the sports-obsessed world will never tell you. Not caring about sports isn't a deficit. It's a superpower. It's the superpower of radical presence. While the world watches, you create. While the world spectates, you participate. While the world invests in proxy victories, you pursue real victories. You see, every Sunday afternoon that others spend watching strangers compete, you're practicing, you're building, you're learning, you're growing. While they're memorizing statistics about other people's achievements, you're creating your own statistics worth memorizing. You have a finite number of heartbeats left in this life, a finite number of hours of consciousness, a finite reservoir of attention, emotion, and energy. And somewhere along the way, you made a choice. You decided that spending those precious resources watching other people live their dreams was a betrayal of your own, because you'd rather fail at your own game than watch someone else win theirs. You'd rather create something imperfect than consume someone else's perfection. That person standing in the sports bar, feeling alien, they're not on the sidelines of life. They are the game. They're not watching history. They're making it in small, personal, profound ways that actually matter. They're not spectating. They're living. And that's not loneliness. That's not missing out. That's presence. That's agency. That's freedom. So if you've ever felt broken for not caring about the game, know this: your indifference isn't a bug, it's a feature. Your brain isn't broken, it's optimized for something better, for the only kind of victory that's actually real, the kind you have to earn yourself, the kind where you are the athlete and your life is the game. If this resonated with you, subscribe. Not everyone will understand this perspective, but that's precisely the point. And if someone in your life has ever made you feel lesser for not caring about sports, send them this video. Thanks for watching.